Hey, I'm P-Thugg from Chromeo. This is where we do most of the production. Cubase is basically the brain of our operations. Right now I'm going to show you the quick basic steps with which we start songs and how easy and quick Cubase can be. So the functions that I use the most on this, usually we'll start a track with drums, so there's a bunch of there's two ways we'll start a track. There's either a bunch of loops if we want to get writing really quick. Got a bunch of sounds here. We'll just choose a random, to say this. The great thing about Cubase is that even in preview mode, you can stretch to the tempo of the song that you're doing. So right now I just went to 116. And my preview will follow what I'm doing. If I'm stopping, I'm going back to 106 or 103. This will follow, which is an incredible tool because a lot of decision making comes from the preview stage, right? So you want to hear it right away, what it's going to sound like at your actual song's tempo. And then when you drag it in, it drags it in at the right pitch, so you already have your loop and it's ready to go. If you change your tempo, it automatically locks it in to the grid, so even if you change your mind a bit later, it will always follow. This is crucial in working fast and creating a workflow that will follow what your brain is kind of thinking immediately. So this is one way we start. Sometimes we'll just start right off the bat with a drum. Our go-to guy will be the drum tracks, and the amazing thing with Cubase is that you can pretty much lay out your template for all your MIDI instruments, all your hardware, synths. So all I have to do here is select the drum tracks as an output, and it's already here. This is essential for me because I don't want to have to plug stuff in and out. Everything in the studio is plugged into the board, and every single instrument is already pre-MIDI'd out. So when you come to the setup here, the great thing is that you can change names to really customize your setup. All my ins and my outs are predetermined here. Everything's plugged in. I can unselect the channels I'm not using and the ports I'm not using from the Myo 10. I'm using two iConnectivity Myo 10s here. So that gives me about 20 channels of MIDI, which is enough for everything. A lot of the synths don't have MIDI also. So 20 channels will cover really everything I need. And once that is set up, I can work really fast. I can change this to minimoog. I can change this to the Juno that's here on my left. We got two Junos in the studio, so I'll change it to Juno 1. Very easily. Well, let's start a track, We'll usually start with... Amazing thing is that the metronome is right there on C. Very easy. That's all I need. Just cut it up. If I want to, I can quantize it. Make a new loop here. If I want to, I can do quantize the note lengths too. I'm not going to do that now, but we work a lot with, when you have a sampler and the note length is determined by your event length, this helps a lot in working fast and sort of, instead of opening up the sampler and truncating and making sure there's a fade out so it doesn't click, you can do it right away here. We use this as also a sort of a sound design tool. It's like an extension of a sampler, basically. So very easily, then you just copy it 4 times over, you re-extend your loop, boom. And then we'll add another track. Let's say I want to put a Juno bass. And right here, I'll go to my Juno. I already know that I have a bass sound loaded in there because I know my patches by heart. And it's ready to go. Same thing, you know, so on and so forth. If I want to add a minimoog lead, I'll just add minimoog lead, switch this up, go and record, and it's all done with the same controller. I can also use any of those synths to control any of the other things that are happening in the studio. So if I want this DX5 because I like the action and I like, you know, how heavy the keys are, I can use that to either control a piano plugin, or I can use that to control my Juno or my Prophet 5. It's very flexible. All the ins and outs are right here. I can choose Elka Syntax into the Juno. Right, another great function that I like is that instantly, every time, well, first of all, I like put everything at 127, and anything that I write, if you drag up or down, it automatically lets you control the velocity. Instead of writing, selecting, going up here, changing the velocity, you can go straight up. That's really, really crucial. Just makes the workflow so much better. You know, that's really amazing function. Another thing that I use, find my hi-hat. Instead of writing this hi-hat 16 times like that, which is time consuming and painful, you write it once for the length of the bar. You choose your scissor and boom, it'll cut it up in 16th notes or whatever you choose to do here. So basically, if I want 30-second notes, let's select my scissor, it'll cut it up in 30-second notes, 64th notes, so on and so forth. That's a great tool. Another great thing about this is, since I don't like to leave this window too much, sometimes we'll work on just one bar for a long time. So if there's something else playing, like a bass, and you want to be able to solo without changing windows, soloing here, the solo button's right there. So you can keep looping. I'm gonna keep looping this here. Let's say there's this drum. I don't have to leave this window. I could just solo lock it. Keep editing, you know. Everything has to stay in a window. When you're in here for such a long time and you don't want to be distracted by opening and moving windows around, that's very, very effective. Another cool thing that I just learned today, actually, Command K will copy over linked MIDI clips. So if you change one of them, will change all of them. So basically you're linking all these three with the first one. So you don't have to redo, or you don't have to erase and then copy. Once you've started your pattern and you want to change it midway, it's a good option. When you're done with it, boom. And since we use a lot of outboard synths and gear, here I can route my Juno to be the controller, to control itself basically. I will record something. And the fun thing about this is that it will read my sys. So everything I just did on the filter it recorded everything in sys here. So it's compatible with old technology, which can be useful when you're surrounded by synths from the 80s.